Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll start off this Friday morning looking at the satellite picture across North America, and you'll see a couple things. First, you can almost draw the jet stream in just by watching the flow here. We've got a ridge over the western U.S., digging into a trough over the eastern U.S., and included with that, we've got a powerful storm system over the southern United States, lifting off to the northeast, creating a havoc with showers and storms, even some severe weather across this region. Under this ridge, we've got warmer air pumping in, cooler air coming in on the backside. Across the Canadian prairies, we've got a small disturbance riding along that, bringing some showers across southern portions of the Canadian prairies here before it dives off to the southeast as well. So let's kind of dissect this here. Starting off looking at the picture, the radar loop here, we're starting to see some of that precipitation over here along the Front Range here in Alberta. And again, we're going to be watching this track off to the east and to the southeast over the next 24 to 36 hours. Looking at the high-resolution rapid refresh model. Now, this is a United States-focused map, but you're going to be able to see that precipitation sneaking across the Canadian prairies here as we play this out. So getting through the day Friday into Saturday overnight there, we see it. It slides through pretty quick. It's a Friday night into Saturday morning event with that precipitation just lightly sliding through southern regions here, southern portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, getting out of the area here by the end of the day on Saturday. We'll take a broader and a more long-range look here at the European long-range model. Let's go ahead and backtrack here starting on Friday. And there you see this little disturbance. It's going to be tracking off to, I guess I should change the color here, tracking off to the east as we start the weekend off. So let's go ahead and remove that, remove my drawings, and start this Friday, getting into Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and now getting into Saturday night, and we've already seen everything clear off, moving off to the east, leaving us dry once again across the Canadian prairie region. Now, as we play this out, we get into the day on Sunday, maybe seeing some light rain shower activity across central portions of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but still remaining mostly dry to finish the weekend. And then we move into the the first part of next week, and we're quite dry and quite warm across the Canadian prairie region. We've got high pressure in the area across the northern U.S. and across the Canadian prairie region. So this area going to be warm, and we're going to be dry to start off next week. So let's go ahead, let's play this a little bit further. We're getting into Wednesday now, seeing maybe some shower activity across portions of northern Manitoba from a disturbance well off towards the north across the northern portions of Canada. Now we're getting into Wednesday night, into Thursday morning, and what you're seeing here is a mostly dry pattern, but with the opportunities for subtle ripples in the flow here to bring very light shower activity possibly to this area. Looking here, talking about Wednesday afternoon, early in the day Thursday, very light rain showers possible across this region. It's not until we get all the way into next weekend. This ends here Friday evening, and what we're seeing is the potential for the development of our next potentially significant storm system. The European model wants to track this across the Canadian prairie region. The reason that I stopped this is because we've got quite the disagreements between our long-range models, and that gives me very little confidence in the placement and the timing of this storm system. So my message is we're going to see some light precipitation here Friday and Saturday to start this weekend, shift to a warm and a dry pattern for much of next week, if not the entire week, with just opportunities for maybe light precipitation quickly sneaking through the region, maybe midweek. But getting all the way through Friday looks like a warm and a dry week across the high production regions of the Canadian prairies until we get to this point next week where we've got some disagreement. When we look at the European model here for Saturday morning, look at this. We've got a well-defined storm system here bringing some snow to parts of central Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Heavy rain on the south side of that, but at the very least, this is a heavy precipitation event along with high winds and, winter weather impacts possible here across the Canadian prairies on Saturday of next week. But what if we look at the same thing from the American GFS model? Now we're talking about a storm system across the central United States with snow across North Dakota and Montana, with heavy precipitation elsewhere. We're talking about a northern U.S. storm system here. So when we look at the two models, We've got the European model with a Canadian storm system next weekend, and the American model with a North American or a northern plains of United States storm system next weekend. So high disagreement, low confidence as we look at the next 7 days. So my message that I want to leave you with here is I almost can promise you a warm and mostly dry week across the Canadian prairies. What I cannot promise you next weekend is whether we'll be dealing with a storm system in the Canadian prairies or watching a storm system develop across the United States. We've got good agreement that there's going to be a big storm system next weekend, but where that is, anywhere from, say, the Canadian prairies to the central United States, we just don't know yet. We're going to watch this together. Eric will have updates for you Monday. I'll have another Canadian regional forecast Tuesday. And then by the time we get to next weekend, we'll have 2 regional updates by then. So plenty of time to digest this. My main message is the next week looks warm and mostly quiet. Total precipitation, this little strip here across the southern prairies here, that is from our Friday and Saturday precipitation. And you can see we're talking about light amounts here, generally about 1/10 to less than 1/2 of an inch. Here's that potential for some precipitation towards the early to middle part of next week across the far northern areas, but generally speaking, a pretty dry and warm week across the Canadian Prairie region. So here you go, one more time, we're taking a look at the jet stream, the flow over the next week or so. We see that big storm system lift out from the southern U.S. into the northeast, and what we see towards the end here is just kind of flat flow across the American and the Canadian border, and that again gives us mostly quiet and dry weather in this region. So finally, we'll talk about high temperatures just over the next 4 or 5 days across the region. Looking first at Alberta, very warm to start things off. Friday, high temperatures close to or above 20 degrees in the southern portions of Alberta. Cooling off slightly behind that little wave on Saturday. Sunday, we start warming up quickly as we're already bringing in warmer air from the south, getting back into the middle teens for Sunday high temperatures. Monday, back to the upper teens to around 20 degrees across much of the region. Tuesday, and then shifting over towards Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Here we go with our Friday high temperatures in the middle to upper teens along and south of this region, getting into Saturday. Sunday, a little bit cooler in the lower teens across much of the region, warming back up as we get into the first part and middle part of next week. Look at that, the upper teens already spreading into this region across southern Manitoba. And then we get towards the middle part of the week. That's where we get the uncertainty. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Sunday morning ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Canadian Prairie regional update for you midday on Tuesday. Have a great day and have a great weekend.